So my week started with the interview. I think it went pretty well, although I got grilled for my lack of research because one of my interviews was with the Dean of Research, so that was less than ideal. But the other students were cool. We didn't exchange too much information except for the MPH people because they had this special dinner that they were having that night. But it was a pretty nice day, and is a school that I really would enjoy going to. It has an environment that I feel comfortable with, and it is in Miami, so I wouldn't have to move a lot of things to go there, but we'll just have to see what happens there. It was also nice because I got to reconnect with still a mentor, but a mentor that's been in my life for a long time now, Miss Vega, and I kind of popped into her office and we caught up, which was really nice because she's been really helpful and really sweet over all these years to help me get to this point. So I'm very appreciative of her. So the next day I was just preparing for my flight out to Cali. I have never been to Cali before, but I never had a reason to go, so I just never had come before now. And I was just home going through my clothes and doing laundry and stuff to make sure my bag was packed. I ended up having to stay at the airport overnight because my flight was on Wednesday morning at 5:40, and my mom very, very much wanted to wake up at 3 in the morning to drive me to the airport, but it just wasn't worth it. So I stayed at the airport overnight, and it was a pretty chill experience, but it was made into a hassle because I woke up and went to the check-in line at 4:30 when the gate opened, only to arrive there and find that the whole check-in line had been full. Like the whole roped off area was full of people waiting. And I was like, well, my flight is pretty soon. So I went to the front and I even asked, I have a flight that is going to, be boarding in 20 minutes. And the guy was like, sorry, sir, you have to wait. And I was like, and then lo and behold, in a few minutes, they were saying, who's on the 5:40 flight, please come up to the front. And they were like speed checking us, which I was like, yeah, this is kind of what I was referring to. But anyway, I made the flight after getting through security and stuff, and the flight was smooth through Atlanta over to Cali. In Cali, things started off on not the right foot. I sent my friend Jesse a message to see, where he was or like what was happening on campus, and he said, oh, there's chapel right now. And I was like, of course there'd be chapel as soon as I get here. So I hopped on the bus, which ended up being very cheap. Problem was I hopped on the bus going westbound instead of eastbound. So I just saw the number and reacted. Didn't even really think if there'd be two directions that the bus could be going. Google Maps never really implied that, honestly. So I got on the bus and I was going off route, and I was like, I'm going off route. I'm going very off route.
This is bad. This is very, very bad.
So then I asked the bus driver, she's like, yeah, this is the bus. And I was like, okay, so it's just going in the wrong direction. So I got off the bus and I had to go into a liquor store to spend my $20 and break it. So I bought a bag of chips to break it down to have change to get back on the bus going the other way. So I got my chips, got back on the bus going the other way, and finally got to a spot closer to campus where Trey, my other friend that I'm staying with, was actually able to come and get me. So that was a nice adventure. But after that, we headed to campus. I came back, dropped off my stuff, and then headed to the actual campus. And it was like pretty nice. I mean, the campus is a pretty well taken care of campus. The buildings look pretty nice. And California has a lot of elevation changes, so you kind of get these like nice sloped hills, and like the buildings kind of rise and fall and stuff. So it's like a pretty nice campus. And I went to lab with Trey because Jesse was already at lab and I was just following Trey there. So I saw Jesse and like he was like, "Oh shoot, what's up, man?" So like he stood up and then we went for a handshake and the dap was so loud that the whole class already stopped and looked at us. And it was kind of funny, but kind of just shocking how loud it was because the class was entirely quiet because this is actually a microscope lab, so like people are pretty focused. But it was just this loud dab that made everyone stop and look. And then I was like, there goes the low-key entrance I was hoping to make. Funny enough, I did actually run to a couple more people that I knew that I guess either didn't look when that dap happened or maybe they just didn't realize, but I ran into some other entrance people there and they were like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm interviewing," and they said, "Ah, okay, that makes sense." So yeah, that was my first event on campus here at Loma Linda, but it was cool to see people. So then after that, I kind of chilled the rest of the day, waited until the guys finished up, and then came back and was just chilling. The next day was my interview day, so I got dressed in the morning, rode to campus, went to the building to where I was supposed to interview, met the admissions director, and everyone over there was really helpful. My interviews were pretty chill. Had a black doctor and a black student, so that was pretty cool. And then after that, went for lunch and then just kind of passed time for the rest of the day until the guys finished up with what they had to do, and then I was able to go home. One funny thing that happened during the day was at lunch, I was waiting for my order, and then this guy walks up by me. He's like, "Hey, Raymond, how's it going?" I was like, "I think it's going well." And he was like, "Yeah, I just saw your name tag. That's how I happen to know your name." I was like, it had to be because there's no other way otherwise. But the guy's name was Jim. He's part of like the leadership for the hospital expansion that they're doing here right now. But it was just like a funny random moment in the middle of the day. But I mean, it feels like Loma Linda is kind of that kind of place, honestly. Anyway, after that, on Thursday night, we went to go check out the gym, and the gym was pretty nice. It's an $8 guest pass, which I feel like is a lot. But anyway, everything in California feels a little bit overpriced. So went to the gym, that was pretty nice. And then on Friday, also went back to the gym to really get back in shape because I have definitely lost my sports conditioning being over in Ukraine and not having played a sport in over 2 months. So I was out on the field on Friday with my football, which felt pretty nice. And as I was walking back inside, this older guy was like, "Hey, have you been playing football for a long time?" And I said, "Yeah, I've been playing for a good amount of years." And he's like, "Yeah, I saw you. It was spectacular." And I was like, okay. I mean, so my thing is just tossing the ball up to myself, which most of you that know me already know. But he seemed very amazed by what I did. But hey, just trying to get the skills refined. So that was pretty cool. And then end of Friday, went to the store with Jesse, did a little bit of shopping, came back and did some on pre-Sabbath cooking and stuff. And, it was just a nice chill Friday night. Saturday, we went to Mount Rubidoux, one of the more popular Adventist churches, I think overall, but especially in California. Pastor Michael Kelly's like really chill, a fun guy, and like has great messages, and he definitely had another great one at church. And then I went to him after service and I reconnected because I saw him at a youth retreat like 8 years ago, which it was kind of cool to, just see him again after all that time. And like, he's just running this church and really doing well. But yeah, Rubidoux was cool. The praise and worship was definitely energetic. I enjoyed the vibe of the church. They had like a youth church on the side too, which I popped my head in, but I didn't really sit in because it was like, you know, high school and younger. And I've come to realize that at 23, you have a bit more distance from high schoolers than you may even expect. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And then after that, we went to a potluck at a guy's house who's the SNMA president. So yeah, mostly black students, but minority students were over there, and you know, just connecting, talking about, you know, life in church and whatever else. And it was, you know, just cool to like sit there and talk with people that, you know, are in the same group as you, like being black medical students. Well, I'm not one yet, but black medical students, you know, Christian and all that stuff. It was a pretty cool experience to be a part of. So went there, the food was good, and then after that we had the basketball tournament. Basketball tournament went, well, actually, I guess a little bit worse than maybe it should have. I guess better than expected, but worse than it should have. Our team was not great, but we won our first game pretty easily, and then the second game we definitely could have won, but our conditioning wasn't there. I mean, I was pretty well conditioning, but some of the other guys were just like struggling. And then we lost the one game, and it was a double elimination. They're like, yeah, so this next game's gonna be a championship. And I was just like, so you could have been in the championship if we just held it together for 3 more minutes in that last game. So everyone was like kind of deflated after that, but it was fine. And then we ended with having having a night at a ramen noodle spot, which was pretty fun. It's a 24-hour ramen noodle spot, which I haven't really heard of before, but it was pretty cool. The waitress came out, and Trey's like nickname or whatever is Trigger Trey. So she came out and she was like, Trigger Trey, but then she looked at the wrong dude. But she gave him this smile, and we were like, okay. And she was like, are you Trigger Trey? And he's like, yeah. And then she was like, yeah, I thought you might have looked like a Trigger Trey. And we were like, really now? But no, we were just messing with him the whole night about it. But yeah, it was a fun night, and you know, that was the end of week 20. So let's see what the future has in store.